All right, welcome back, everyone. We are chatting about the use of artificial intelligence. I threw this in the chat. Give us your thoughts on it. It seems like AI is everywhere. We're talking about it at the Supreme Court. Trenton, you've done a lot of work and research on this, and Josh, of course, your expertise in this as well. We were talking about this recent case. Lauren, one of our reporters, you said just moments ago, she's going to be doing a larger piece on AI in the courtroom.
Yeah, so actually the defense attorney in the case that we were talking about before with Chris Pelkey, the man that was convicted in that, Gabriel Orcasitas, the defense attorney did immediately file an appeal, but on the grounds that, the AI-generated video gave his client an unfair rap on what happened and hitting on the points that this was fabricated evidence, that this didn't happen in real life, and this was all suggestion, opinion, not the facts of the case. So,
it was done though after the sentencing, correct?
Correct.
So it wasn't done before in a way that it would maybe change the judge or a potential jury's perception of what took place.
And that's a very important distinction to make, just that this wasn't evidence being presented in the case, but rather, like Josh, you said before, with the victims having their say and having the opportunity to do that. But one thing that is interesting is Arizona is really one of the few states that's on the forefront of getting into artificial intelligence, pushing that. We did have some B-roll before that.
Let's go ahead and roll that. I believe this might be it. This one right here?
Yes. So the Arizona Supreme Court a couple months ago, they released these new AI presenters to break down quickly what the Supreme Court rulings are.
So these aren't real people?
No, they're not.
Interesting.
Yes,
Are they images of real people, or do we know?
We've requested that information. We're still waiting on the court to kind of tell us, hey, where'd you get this from?
Hey, that's my brother. It's like,
right.
What is happening?
They could be in the valley. We just don't know.
Yeah.
But really using this tech to break down what was a complicated release on what the court findings were. Now it's a little more conversational, a little more user-friendly. So trying to make some waves in that. But the other thing that was interesting is the High Court in January 2024, they created the steering committee on artificial intelligence and in the courts. And Josh, we were talking about in the break just how AI is changing the legal landscape, for attorneys, but for courts, and really it's pretty revolutionary.
It is revolutionary, and it has a lot of potential, and it also has a lot of drawbacks. So right now, the AI isn't to the level where lawyers can just ask ChatGPT, for instance, to draft a motion with correct case law. It doesn't have the ability to do that. And lawyers, unfortunately, have gotten into trouble by relying on ChatGPT, and even sometimes ChatGPT will hallucinate, and they'll make up case names.
Interesting word for that.
Right, hallucinate?
Yeah, and the judges will then look up the case, and they'll be like, attorney, does this case come from? And when the attorney admits that he actually didn't look it up, that's when they get into a lot of trouble. Now, another way that AI is going to affect at least the criminal law atmosphere is with fraud. When I was at the U.S. Attorney's Office as a federal prosecutor, we began really seeing a lot of cases come in where you would have these criminal gangs that would impersonate, let's say, a grandmother's grandson and call up the grandmother using the voice of the grandson to try and coerce and extort money from a vulnerable adult. And we're going to be seeing a lot more of that going forward. Also, with ChatGPT and other AI, it's really going to reduce the amount of time that lawyers have to spend doing legal research. And you're going to see a lot of the large law firms cut down on the mid-level attorneys because they're not going to need them anymore. They're going to have these really high-powered artificial intelligence engines that can take care of the majority of the research, and we're only a few years away from that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. This was this was not on purpose, but I just opened up my Instagram, and I had posted pictures of me when I got my bachelor's and my master's degree, and Meta AI came up, and it said it automatically started writing my post.
Oh, wow.
And it said, as a college graduate, you're about to embark on a new journey to set yourself up for success. Consider the following advice: be positive, principled, proactive, productive. Remember that your first job is a journey to learn about yourself. Networking is key. And then it continued on with like ideas and advice.
I love the ego of Meta AI, just telling Celeste Rodriguez, here's the keys for success on what you need to do.
Well, I just thought it was funny that it automatically took it upon itself to do it. And what is that movie, Machina? Is that
Ex Machina.
Oh, yeah,
Ex
yeah.
Machina,
Sure. Yeah.
where
Scary.
where the robot
Very
and
scary.
the movie's a little older, so I'm hoping everybody has seen it. But at the end, the robot takes over, locks the guy inside the room, and she makes her way out into society and looks completely human. And it was like, oh my goodness, like that's kind of a scary idea where you don't know what is real and what isn't. Somebody in the chat box, I think it was Linda Monter, she said, AI, like anything else, can be used for something that is good or something that is not so great. And I think that is the concern. How do we control and really kind of it's like I feel like a firefighter. They always say they're not firefighters like the wildland ones. They call themselves fire herders. Because they're hurting the fire in a way to hopefully be able to put it out. It's almost like we have to almost guide this technology because it's not going anywhere.
Oh, true. I mean, the hubris that humans have that we're going to create something better than us and have an idea that we're going to be able to control it. It's something out of Jurassic Park. I think that obviously AI can be tremendously beneficial in the medical industry, for instance, and we should allow it to run free to help people. But to kind of rule over us in all aspects of our life, there's just so many dangers there with how it's going to affect society that, how can we really say what we know is going to happen?
And especially, I think, for like when you think about college graduates, like I hear a lot of parents say, well, I want my kid to learn about something that AI won't take over, like at least in their lifetime, like plumbing a house or putting electric through a house or something like that, because if you're a language instructor, and you have a love of language or art, maybe there's going to be a robot that teaches language. They already have these like earphones now where it's like you can speak with somebody with a different language. Have you seen those?
I know Google, launched those especially.
I was like, oh my goodness. But in the courtroom, I think we have this different expectation of order, right?
Right. And a human in control too. It's fascinating. But one thing I was going to ask you, Josh, too, which I thought was interesting from last month's committee meeting that they had, they were talking about starting a portal for courts and especially judges, Maricopa County, et cetera, across the state, where they can kind of submit like, hey, here's some odd things that we saw pop up or potential flags, and really kind of wading through that, like you were saying, of we're all along for the ride now, there's no going back to it. But one thing that popped up I thought was interesting, part of this portal, was the ability for litigants, who are representing themselves, to have some of those AI tools that might help out. I mean, do you see any potential with that, with self-representation?
Absolutely, 100%. And I've already seen it. And I saw it with the Lori Vallow case, for instance. And, sometimes when I prepare for these interviews, I'll ask ChatGPT to ask me question and answers in order to kind of anticipate what you guys may ask me. And I could see that Lori Vallow did something similar. The questions that she was asking on cross-examination were very similar to the questions that I had ChatGPT prepare me for the next morning when I was going to comment on it. And I could see that it was effective and her presentation was very good. In fact, Lori Vallow, although she lost, was the most prepared pro-per defendant I've ever seen. Again, the facts weren't good. She wasn't going to win the case. However, her cross-examination questions were exactly of the sort that you would expect any experienced and seasoned defense attorney to ask. And, going forward, as people become more confident with ChatGPT and the other engines about their accuracy and their effectiveness, you're going to see more and more people becoming pro-per, representing themselves in these types of cases.
Wow.
I know. All you got to do is watch Legally Blonde and know how to walk into a courtroom, right? Have a little swagger.
My next traffic ticket, I mean, I'm coming for him. AI is.
Oh, my goodness. What a wild, I think, world we live in when it comes to technology, and
Oh, yeah.
it's interesting to kind of figure out how this whole thing works and everything.
Sure.
Especially, I'm going to throw this one more up there one more time. This is AI, and this is for all you in the chat box. And if you're just joining us, this is what we've been talking about in the courtroom at the Supreme Court, and the changes being made as well. Josh, do you have, if folks out there want more information on kind of your services or your thoughts on this, how do they reach you?
Go to my website, Kolsrud Law Offices.com, and we're a full-service law firm, criminal defense, both federal and state. We also do personal injury, a boutique law firm here near downtown Phoenix. Born and raised in Arizona, giving back to the community, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, we were just chatting. Central High grad.
Yep, that's right, Bobcats.
Yeah, go Bobcats. Yeah, I said I'm a Marcos Denise grad. And Trenton, your cell phone number for everyone? I'm kidding, don't.
I will give an AI one. It's my AI assistant.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no kidding. All right, we're going to show you the mystery camera one more time. It's beautiful Victoria, BC. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining and for sharing your expertise. We so appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.